Hey folks, Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I feel like I need to make a follow-up video to my video about the open game license, just because I seem to see a lot of confusion, and I guess maybe I wasn't clear enough, and I guess for a lot of folks who didn't really know about it before I made the video, they weren't really sure what it was, and I may have sparked some fear by accident, so I wanted to set the record straight and clear that up. So you can do whatever you want in your homebrew game. Your game, you're playing in any game you want. You can use Bahamut, Tiamat, Lolth, Drizzt, any of those. You're allowed to do that. The only time where you need to change names or not use that is if you are trying to sell a product on the internet or some other way to people using 5th edition mechanics. I thought I explained that, but let me go through that again. So if me, Ted, I have my own homebrew campaign that I run every Tuesday night in my homebrew world of Everend. Because it was convenient for my players, I used the Faerunian gods pantheon. Those gods are Wizards of the Coast property. If I went to a publisher or went to Kickstarter through a company or something else and said, hey, I want to publish my homebrew world of Everend as a campaign setting for people to go out and buy and back on Kickstarter, and then make money, and then I'll sell it, and I'll ship books and all that, I can't use those gods in my book. That's not covered under the open game license. That's not official property that I'm allowed to use. I will be subject to legal action, and Wizards of the Coast will probably sue me. Eventually. The same thing happened to Matt Mercer when he released the Tal'Dorei campaign guide a few years ago with Green Ronin Publishing. Green Ronin and Matt Mercer in that instance were releasing a Critical Role source book, not through Wizards of the Coast. Therefore, in Campaign 1 of Critical Role, they use several gods that exist, they reference them, that exist in, I think, either 4E Pathfinder or things like Pelor, Sarenrae, Ioun, Bahamut, Tiamat. Those all exist, and he used all those. Lolth, right? Those were all in it. When he put out the Tal'Dorei campaign guide book, if you look in it, all of those gods have different names. They're pretty much, you could understand what they are, like the Spider Queen, the Platinum Dragon, the Five-Headed Queen, whatever. You could figure out what they are, or like the Changebringer, the Luck Weaver, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Changed the names of those gods to no longer fall under property owned by other companies. So that was okay. So that I wanted to put that out there. So even folks like Matt Mercer and the Critical Role team had to do that to fall in line with the open game license years ago. Now that's published, he's published with Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, so it's a different story. But even with that, they reference, Sarenrae in Campaign 1, and in the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, they couldn't call her Sarenrae because that's a name owned by Paizo and Pathfinder, so they had to make up a new name, and I forget what it is in Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. But that's the issue you run into when you start publishing and putting things out there for people to buy. So if you want to go ahead and make your own campaign setting that uses all aspects of 5th edition, and you want to just put it out on the internet for free for people to just go download because you want to share it with the world, that's fine. You're not making money. You're not making a profit on it. If you want to release your campaign, your summaries of your campaign on the internet, hey, we played through a session. I'm going to put all my summary of my campaigns up on Obsidian Portal or some other website. That's fine. You're not making money off of it. Direct money utilizing Wizards of the Coast's IP. That's the big thing, right? It's intellectual property owned by Wizards and TSR and whoever else owned that. So now Hasbro, right, owns everything. So that's how that works. So only if you want to put things out there for the purpose of people buying them do you need to worry about the open game license. If you are playing with your friends in your house or through Zoom or whatever, and you want to use the name Bahamut or Tiamat or whatever, you can. No one's going to come after you. That's allowed. The game is designed for you to hack and alter and make it your own and run your own campaigns. It's only when you decide that you want to start publishing things and making money off of it that the intellectual property comes into play. And again, perfect example is me. I want to release, I have a necromancer class that I'm gathering art for, a full level 1 to 20 class that I want to put out there. I really want to use some of the spells contained that aren't in the open game license, like Armor of Agathis, for example. It's a cool, cold-themed, damagey spell. It really fits the build and stuff I've worked on for my necromancer. If I were to release that as a PDF on the internet that you could just go download off of my website and pay, say, $5 for it, that goes directly into my pocket, I can't use spells like Armor of Agathis because they're not in the open gaming license, or Steelwind Strike, or anything like that. Now, I could make up an entirely custom list of spells, plus using the ones that are on the open gaming license, and that would be okay, but I just don't want to do that. Just personal opinion. So I will ultimately release that full class, on the DM's Guild, because then I'm allowed to publish it there on the DM's Guild. I can have access to all of the Wizards of the Coast sources. If it does well, that potentially gets me the opportunity to be recognized by Wizards of the Coast in a publishing format, therefore maybe leading to future avenues, which is a thing that happens with a lot of folks on there. And that's how that would go. So just to give you a little bit of a frame of reference. But I think the only sort of gray area that people might also have been confused about is, like, if you stream your game and you're using any of that stuff, and people were to say, watch, subscribe to your stream, pay, donate to your stream. If you were to say, make a special podcast and put that up on Patreon, that people have to go and subscribe to your Patreon to get access to that, that's okay. You're not directly making money infringing on Wizards of the Coast intellectual property by trying to pass it off and plagiarizing it as your own to make money on it. That's the issue, right? I hope that comes through in this video. Again, I didn't think I needed to make it, but I saw enough comments. Well, one, a lot of people seem to be or completely unaware of the open gaming license. So my video seemed to open the eyes to a bunch of folks, which is good. I'm glad I'm getting the information out there. But I just wanted to assuage the worry from a lot of folks that, like, oh my God, I used Bahamut in my homebrew game. Now I'm going to get sued by WotC. No, you're not. You can use it. That's why they put the stuff in the books, so you can use them. But it's only when you want to take it to that next level. And yeah, for instance, my homebrew world, I really like it. I've built an interesting history, story, characters, NPCs, world, and things I like, and I want to make that. Maybe I think a good kind of crowning achievement as a DM and a content creator on the internet would be to get my campaign setting formalized in a hardcover book that you and other people out there could go purchase and run your own games in my own world. That's a really crazy concept to me, and that's what I would like to do. That being said, I now need to design an entire pantheon for my world that's completely original so that I don't run into those issues. And if I design custom subclasses and custom races, I need to be careful what I do. If I'm going to make a custom race, I can't make it like a Genasi variant. Because I think Genasi is Wizards of the Coast. I could make it a Genie-born, and that would be okay. Like, that would be allowed. And like, you can do other things. You can get creative with how you do things, right? Like, maybe I make a Lightning Strike spell, right? And Lightning Strike is pretty much word for word fundamentally the Flame Strike spell that exists in 5th edition that I don't believe is in the open gaming license, but I just changed the damage to lightning, and now I'm made a different thing, right? Or how to change the material components. There's ways that you can do stuff and change things to allow yourself to more or less get what you want without being it. For example, like the only feat we're allowed through the open gaming license is the grappler feat. But let's say you want to have a feat in your homebrew setting that's similar to that you want to put in a book. There's no reason that someone can't say, here is Ted's campaign setting. I will use it to run my games, but I'll also use the player's handbook and whatever other books out there to, like, add to it, which you obviously can do. But if you have something specific, or you're like, hey, I really wish that the resilient feat in the player's handbook was more specific and different and better, then you couldn't call it resilient and make it have, a variant resilient constitution, resilient wisdom. You could make a new feat called cunning, and it basically gives you proficiency in wisdom saving throws, and that could be it, or it could give you something else, or however, but that's you changing it up. Someone in the comments on my last video also mentioned Solasta, the video game. I'm not really familiar with it, but people keep telling me about it, so I should probably check it out. And Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is an officially licensed Wizards of the Coast product. Therefore, they get access to the entire suite of WotC stuff. They can use things like tieflings. They don't need to call them Devilborn or Devil Children or Demonkin or whatever. They can use tieflings. They can use all of the spells. Armor of Agathis, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. They can use those spells as written, and all of the abilities and things as written is because they're under the WotC licensing option. Solasta, another company that's making a D&D 5e themed campaign, has to use everything that's tied in the open gaming license, and then anything they want to do beyond that, they need to make up. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to address this a third time. But I just wanted to assuage, some people seemed a little worried that they were going to get in trouble for playing D&D, and that's not what it's about. It's a very specific subset of people that want to go out and create things for the purposes of making profit for themselves or whatever else. So anyway, hope that clears it up. Reminder, tonight is the last night. It's about 4 p.m. probably by the time you're watching this on the 16th. Tonight at 11:59 p.m., my 50K giveaway and you can see the box right here, my Curse of Strahd Nerd Immersion Edition, both of those giveaways end at 11:59 p.m. tonight. Go enter them now. Links in the description if you'd like to try to win some cool stuff. I'll see you all next time.